In this video, we're going to be going through TQA's Phase 3 Colt starting. Here's the Phase 3 score sheet. You can see on the left side is the task completions and foundation, and on the right side is the temperament variables. The first thing we have is review groundwork in Phase 1. It's important to remember that we are preparing this horse for an inexperienced horse owner, and we continue to instill a solid foundation in this area. The other thing we do in Phase 3 is we spend a lot of time going outside, loping outside, so we want to refresh doubling at a walk, trot, and a lope. Not only does this enable me to be able to keep the horse on a straight line when we go outside, but it also instills that one range stop in case they get tight and scared going outside. We have confidence and are able to double the horse. Being able to double the horse at a walk, trot, and lope also gets the reins tied to the feet, which helps in walking, trotting, and loping a circle, horizontal direction.
Okay, on your guys' Phase 3, when you guys bring your colts out, if it's on a Monday and they're a little bit fresh, it's not a bad idea to visit. On your score sheet, one of the things it says is review groundwork in Phase 1, your pre-riding. So the stuff that you do before you get on them, part of your groundwork is being able to cover all those different areas with the flag. These horses need to be gentle if they're going to the public. So if they're fresh or whatever, I do want to be able to take the flag and cover all the different areas. As we transition into Phase 3 and Phase 4, we should be preparing them for the public. And so the public's going to take them out of the pen and just throw a saddle and get on them and ride them. That's ultimately where we're trying to get these horses, to get them prepared to do that. And so be working towards that. With that said, in our little TQA deal here at the college, by far, I get more people bucked off in Phase 3 than any other phase, especially on a Monday. They've ridden them, they've done all of the prep work, and then they haven't had any problems with them. They've ridden them outside, and then they just get on them and go to ride them, and horses are fresh and they buck them off. And so when you guys catch your horses, if we need to run them around, we'll run them around, but really we're trying to transition to getting them saddled, getting on them, and that's what I want to go through, kind of a TQA warm-up. Phase 3, ideally I'll start putting you guys on the fence and we'll go through a warm-up together. Say in the class we only have an hour and a half.
The actual training time on your horse is 1 hour. For class, I try to do 30 minutes of instruction time spaced out between the class period and 1 hour of turning you loose to train your horse. Most horses will need the full hour, but some will need less, and that is okay. Learn to read your horse.
And it's hard to go through all of groundwork and all of Phase 1 and then keep advancing into Phase 3 and Phase 4. So you might do a quick warm-up, but then we got to start doing our circles, and especially riding outside, roping the dummy. There's just a lot to try to get through in an hour and a half window, okay? And so especially if we run them around real quick. So the other thing is be smooth but efficient, okay? A lot of the students, they come out here and everything is slow. Okay, I'll go ahead and saddle this horse, okay? And one of the things, practice, I just talked to a student, and she's thinking of possibly going and working for Annie Reynolds. Practicing, if there's a difference if you're riding one horse and that's the only horse you're riding, or whether you're trying to get 10 or 15 saddled in a day. So be smooth, and that's one of the things when we've had students here. It's just, especially before we saddle our horses and we turn them loose, okay? My dad used to say, or still says, someone has to be last, but it better not always be you, okay? And so, if the whole crew is waiting, go fast. We got to get these horses caught and saddled. We'll turn them loose. When we saddle them, we'll turn them loose and we'll run them around. Inevitably, there's one or two people that are always last and we're waiting 5 minutes. It just takes a long time. So see how fast and how smooth and how efficient you can turn these horses loose, okay? Then we can get them run around. So I want you guys to be thinking, typically if you're working for a trainer, you're not just riding one horse for that day. You're going to be riding 10 head. It's usually what it kind of takes to keep the bills paid if that's what you're doing full time. Somewhere between 8 to 12 generally. So The faster and the smoother you can get a pot and saddle and turn loose, it just, the more you can get through in a day. So practice being smoother and efficient as we transition into the spring. Instead of working just one horse, that's part of the industry green braking, is instead of working just one, you work two. Okay, and so I want you to practice getting to work within that window, that block, or whatever. So, like I said, when you saddle them, try to be smooth, try to be efficient. Like on a Monday in the phase 3, we'll definitely run them around. Toward the end of the week, through the phase 3, we might just lunge them around and get on, okay? Kind of depend on the horses partly too. But in the phase 3, we'll be taking in the phase 2, we're taking the halter off. Obviously, we're still doing the same thing in the phase 3. I'm going to go through this video on this horse. Generally speaking, like in the phase 3, you'd be riding a horse. This horse, I have not been riding him, so if he looks stiff and not very good and a little bit bronky, it's because he's been turned out for like a week and a half or 2 weeks. So generally, they would be riding better in phase 3, but I'll at least be able to show you some of the stuff that you'd be looking for. So, like I said, on the phase 3, if this is a Monday, you might run them around. For the sake of this demo, I'm not. I'll just get on him here. So once we get him saddled, instead of doing all of your groundwork with the halter before you saddle them, if they're ready to saddle, just go ahead and saddle them. Okay? One of the things definitely we looked at the other day in the phase 2 is taking your rope down. And that's a really good deal before we start roping on them. So if they need a review in this, to go ahead and be able to swing your rope, throw it on their butt like that. Okay, I really gives them an opportunity to double them, give them that stage 1 and a crisis with your snaffle bit. Okay, the other thing, remember we're continually working on the legs. Okay, getting them good with the legs, getting them good picking up their feet. So it's just an opportunity, once you have the snaffle in that phase 2, to just start working on some of this stuff. Get where you can get the legs, run them up and down, and in doing that, you can kind of get them a little bunched up, get them a little bit tight, and get where you can double them with the snaffle, okay? Remember we did that in phase 2. If they need a review on that, go ahead and feel free to do that. Couple different ways. It might be a little bit harder on the left side. Make sure you work on both sides. It doesn't have to be pretty, guys. If you can swing a little bit with your left hand, it just keeps you a little more balanced. Like I said, it doesn't have to be pretty. You can just kind of swing it around, keep them balanced, roping their butt both ways like that. And so, rope their legs. You can do all that kind of stuff. And so, like I said, if they need a review there, you can. Then I'll go ahead. We're just reviewing the stuff that we taught them there, which is what vocab learned somebody on the foundation side.
Stage 1. Stage 1.
Stage 1. What else? Somebody. Stage 1, what else are we doing? Horizontal direction. So, on a Monday, say if it was a Monday, I would review some of this stuff. Maybe towards the end of the week, you wouldn't have to go through as much of this stuff, but I would definitely go back, that horizontal direction standing. Okay? Horizontal direction into stage 1, coming around that inside front foot. Okay? Like I said, if it's a Monday, they need to review some of that stuff. They're a little bit tight. Maybe they got a little bit of the left eye, right eye, kind of a temperament thing. This is really good because it gets them relaxed. Obviously, this guy does not have a spot in in the blind spot there. Take your flag, you can move them around in your warm-up there, okay? So if they need a review, go ahead and review that. Put them on that curve line and go through that. Okay, so here's one of the deals. I'll just go through what I'd be looking for when you guys get on kind of your warm-up here. And if they need a review on the sides, go ahead and do it on the sides. But ideally, we're kind of transitioning from the phase 3 into the phase 4 that we're getting on these horses and we're getting to ride them. So, like I said, if you need to review, do as much of the review as you need to do. Okay, get on the sides and stuff. But I'm not saying every time you have to get on the sides. Eventually, we're transitioning to where we can just get on them. One of the things when you do get on them, I think a good little drill you can start doing. See, my outside rein is really long. Okay, taking that slack out. I'm going to bring this head around a little ways here, and then I'm going to switch. I'm going to switch my hands. Okay, I switch my hands. And this hand here, I can bring him over and pet his head. You guys see that? So I'll do the same thing over here. I'll start to draw here. That outside rein is nice and long. Take the slack out, wait for him to put the slack back in. Outside rein is nice and long. I'll bring him maybe halfway. You can see I switch hands. Okay, and then that frees it up over here, that I can bring his head around and pet him. Okay, it's a good little drill. We'll do this when we take him outside, take him down the ditch break. That's just a good little drill to get where you can bring their head around and pet them both ways. Okay, so we have horizontal direction standing. Okay, we have stage 1 standing. Okay, I think this is a really good drill to get in a habit of doing whenever you get on a horse. Okay. Don't just throw your leg over and ride forward. I remember my dad telling me that when I was pretty young. You want to have a really good park, especially if you are training these horses for inexperienced horse owners. Make sure they stand. You should not just throw your leg over on them and have them go forward. Okay, so a good habit is when you get on them, okay, and if they're not ready to get on, then do some groundwork. But, okay, I did horizontal direction standing, I did stage 1 standing. Okay, that's just a good habit to get into if you're selling this horse to the public or someone's coming to pick them up before they just ride forward. Now, when I'm ready, I'll go ahead and ride forward. So, as I'm getting on this horse and everyone else is getting ready, okay, I want you to go ahead and just do your doubling, which is a combination of horizontal direction and stage 1, walking, trotting, loping. Okay. So, remember, I take the slack out of the rein, he puts it back in. Remember, as we double, my reins are nice and long. This hand slides up, that hand slides down. I'll do it this way. My rein is nice and long, this hand comes up, that hand slides down. See how my rein is short? Then that outside rein is long. Then I can bring his head around, and I can bring his head clear around to my stirrup, but I'm not pulling on that outside rein. I bring my leg in, he gives his butt. This hand comes to the center, slide this hand down, my leg goes behind that back cinch there, he moves his hind quarters. Okay, so this is doubling, okay? So, one hand in the center, this hand comes up, bring my leg back, pivot around that inside front foot. Okay, so walking, trotting, loping. This hand comes up, slide my leg back, pivot around that inside front foot. Should be just like his head tied to a post. Okay? Slide your rein down. Stop and pivot. Okay, my rein is long, this hand comes up, that hand slides down. So just like his head's tied to a post, we're stopping and pivoting around that inside front foot. Doubling or one rein stop. You get a walking, trotting, loping. Loping, slide my rein down. Stops and pivots around that inside front foot. There, so we doubled, walking, trot, and loping.
As soon as you can get a horse to double, it's extremely important that you begin putting them on a straight line and a curved line. We want these horses to learn to ride in between our hands and feet, and there's always a set line that if they find it, they can have relief. So ultimately, in phase 3, we want them really confident loping in a straight line outside and doing horizontal direction in a slow and an extended trot. But in the phase 3, we'll start doing a TQA warm-up. We'll have you kids just get on the rail and get really good walking, trotting, and loping on the rail. Then we'll start doing circles for our horizontal direction, full circles and half circles. This really helps the horse learn to ride in between your hands and feet, to find a line, and it helps a lot to set a foundation in the phase 4, where the horse will be expected to lope a circle both directions in the correct lead, or horizontal direction in a lope.
Okay, so here's a little drill I like us to start doing. You can go ahead and kind of walk and trot and lope and make sure you can double them. Walk and trot and lope it. And then as soon as you can do that, it's so important for me that a horse gets put on a straight line and a curved line. Okay, so what I'll have you guys do is, as people are getting ready, if you're ready, I'll just say get on the rail. Start getting on the rail. There's your job. Get on them, double them. And some days I won't even have you double. I'll just say, okay, get on them and get on the rail. That's their job. Okay, so what I want you guys to pretend is maybe somewhere between a 5 to 10 foot imaginary cliff here. Okay? Okay, maybe a 10-foot cliff off there, about right here over to there. If they go inside here, there's hot lava. So as long as he's pointing to the fence, or he's on the fence, I'll give him relief. Okay? If he goes off the fence, if he goes out of the middle, there's hot lava. I'm going to double him, make it a little bit of pressure. I'm going to double him. I'll push him back over here to the fence. Now let him come back over here and get some relief. You guys see that? As we start transitioning into the phase 3, we'll start opening and closing gates, and this is a way that they can just try to start seeking this rail for relief. So as long as he's on the rail, I'll give him relief. He goes off the rail, okay? He goes off into there, it's going to be hot lava. I'll give him his head, let him walk out. Like I said, I'm a big fan of straight lines and curved lines, so this is a straight line. Should be able to put a horse on a straight line and give him his head. In phase 2, remember we did that riding outside? Okay, he didn't go too far there. Okay, as you guys get on the rail, I'll put you on the rail and then I'll say horizontal direction, a half circle, and go the other way. And it's an opportunity for you to start putting them on curved lines. Okay, if he goes out in the middle here, okay, I'm going to make that a little bit uncomfortable. Push him back over here on the fence. There. Give him some relief. Make it comfortable over here. There. Now he's back on the rail. Give him relief. Okay? A lot of times I'll have you guys do, okay, half circle, then I'll say full circle. When you do that, you're sliding your rein down still. You're bringing your leg in. Make sure you are looking. I like to think about 3/4 of a circle where you're going. So it's your same doubling muscle memory. This shoulder is lower, my left shoulder is lower, my right shoulder is higher, I have more weight on my outside butt cheek, my rein is out, and I'm looking over here. So if I've done my job doubling, when I pick up on that rein, that outside line should step out. So I want to say horizontal direction, half circle, or horizontal direction, full circle. Remember the definition of horizontal direction. When I take the slack out, they put it back in the suppleness of the pole of the loin. Should break in the pole. Shouldn't see any white in the eye. The nose should be directly underneath the eye and no head tilting. That's the 4 by looking at the head. Should make a perfect C around my leg. The front feet and hind feet should follow on the same path made as the nose. Okay? Should be able to ride a perfect circle. And that outside line should step out, the inside line should step up in between it. So I'll have you guys, I'll go, okay, then I'll have everyone drop on the rail, okay? Put them on the rail, when they're on the rail, give them their head. If they go out in the middle, again, double them and put them back. I said it's really important to me that a horse can travel on a straight line and a curved line. So here's your straight line. If I say curved line, go ahead and double them, put them back on the rail. Okay, you can see here, I am not looking at his head. I'm shifting my weight and I'm looking around behind me. When he gets back on the rail, I give him his head, I make the rail comfortable. Come back on the rail the other way. So we'll do this a lot. I'll say half circle, full circle. And then sometimes I'll say, okay, 2 circles, one right on top of each other. So I'm going to look around behind me here. Okay, bring on that first one. All this is really good. Okay, so I'm going to do 2 circles, one right on top of each other. Okay, there, we need some horizontal direction to get a full circle there.
In the phase 3, we'll continue to work on stage 2 with willing submission, standing and walking, and we'll also start doing it at a trot.
Okay, and then I'll start to just sit down and go, whoa. Remember, we're starting to work on our stage 2, which is backing. So we can start working on that. Okay, that was a little sloppy stage 1 into stage 2. As you do our warm-up, I'll kind of actually go a little bit slower. I'll make sure you can double. I'll go through all the vocab words. We'll make sure we have horizontal direction. We'll do stage 1 at a walk. Okay, we'll come clear back and do it at a walk, then a trot, and then we'll do horizontal direction. And at a walk, we'll do stage 2 and get them to pull back, and then at a trot. Okay? And so I'll just go through those vocab words. The other thing, remember we do stage 1 into stage 3 on the fence.
So in phase 3, we'll continue to build on stage 3 and stage 4, which is the revelations through to the feet with willing submission. The definition of stage 3 is lateral movement of the front feet and hind feet together. The definition of stage 4 is stopping the inside hind foot and walking the other feet forward around it. It's also important to remember the definition of willing submission is after initial cue, the horse does the job, all day loose rein and no leg pressure. It's the horse's idea.
By moving down the fence here, letting that outside hind take the outside front. Okay? And then as long as I have horizontal direction, as long as I have stage 3, and then I can get where I can pick up horizontal direction. If I bring my outside leg out, see how we did 1, 2 with this front feet. So with this, we're going to go stage 1 on the fence, into stage 3, and part of this is starting our stage 4. So see, I'm going down the fence for stage 3, shifting my weight, going 1, 2 with the front feet. Okay, see how I did that? I'll come back the other way. I'll be on the rail this way. I'll go stage 1 on the rail here, into stage 3, coming down the rail, the front feet, hind feet moving together in a lateral motion. I'll shift my weight, get stage 4, 1, 2.
A big part of the phase 3 is to prepare a horse for phase 4 to be able to lope a circle both directions in the correct lead. How we do that is focus a lot on loping in a straight line outside, getting a lot of life, getting them freed up, and then horizontal direction with a slow and extended trot. So now I'm going to show a drill that we'll work on quite a bit in phase 3, getting them really good trotting circles on a loose rein.
You guys need to be really good at, obviously we need to be able to lope circles. So a little drill that I like to do when you have time or if you're riding and there's no one in here, part of the time we'll go outside. So if this corner is freed up, maybe there might be a day where you just want to work on circles, okay? And so a little trick to get a horse as far as task completion to stay on a curved line is just I have my rein nice and long, I'm bringing my leg back like I do there. I'm going to come over here, I'll make a couple circles. Okay, I have part of the fence to help me here, and all I'm doing is just pushing them forward, doubling them around here, and then letting them stop. Okay, right up here next to the fence. It will build on this into the phase 3 as far as doing your loping circles and your rollbacks and in your spins. But we can kind of move them around for your stage 4 there. But I'm just going to pick my line here, pick them up to where I want to go, okay, and get to where I can trot him in a circle over here. Okay, if he has a magnet, okay, that's not too bad. I've done this a little bit on this horse, so he gets to where he kind of wants to stop over here. But say if I came over here and I started to trot and there was a really bad magnet, and he started to lead that way, then just doubling and pushing back the other way. So say I come over here, he's scared of the corner, right here you feel them get kind of bracy and want to leak out, just double them and push them back around the corner and go the other way. You guys see that? I come around over here, I pick up, he's leaking, doubling. Okay? Go right back around the other way. After you do that a few times, if I come right here and I pick up, he's going to think double and then just push him around and then let him come back over here and settle. It's a really good way to get a colt to start trotting and loping circles, keeping them on the line. Okay, so we did part of your sheet there. It says the TQA warm-up. We'll kind of go through that.
The next thing we have is vertical direction, walking, and at a slow trot. Remember, the definition of direction is when slack is taken out of the rein, the horse puts the slack back in the rein with suppleness between the pole and the loin. With vertical direction, we're looking for the horse to break in the atlas vertebrae. That would be up and down. We want them to break in the pole vertically, and their nose should be perpendicular to the ground.
The other thing that I really want to focus on here, we'll probably start doing a little bit of this in the phase 2, but we really start tracking it a lot in the phase 3, and it's getting a horse collecting, breaking in the pole. Okay, so how do I do this? This is how my dad showed me to do it. Okay, it's a really fast and easy way to get him to do it because it's consistent for the horse. Okay, when you go to get a horse to collect, I like to have my reins nice and short up here but wide in between. Okay, now look at this. I'm going to set my hands, I'm going to come up on his neck, and I'm just going to set my hands, and I have my thumbs on the top of his neck right here. I'm putting my fists in his neck. You guys see that? I'm just setting my hand, and when he gives, I just go right like that, and I give him his head. So I have a lot of space in between my hands. When you guys get ready to do this, you have a lot of space in between your hands. Get short, start up high on his neck, get your horse walking, and then just slide your hand down and set your fist right on his neck. Put a thumb on each side of his neck. Okay? And when he starts to give, I just go like that and I give him total relief. Okay, come up here, Parker. Okay? They're wide in between here, but then I get short. Okay, then I'm going to slide my hand down and see how my fists are here, Parker. See, you can see there, and I have a thumb on each side of his neck. Okay, and I'm right there to have my fist, and then I can just ride forward. And if he pushes on me, my hands are set. Okay? And then as soon as he gives, I give him relief. Okay? If you guys do that, they'll learn to give really fast versus trying to be a little bit inconsistent with your hands there. Okay, the other thing that I start doing in the phase 3 is actually checking them up. Okay? So when I do that, I will put my reins behind the camel here, and I just tie a square knot. Okay, right over left, left over right. I'll tie a square knot there. Okay? And the very first time you do it, you can leave it a little bit long. The biggest thing with this, when you guys do it, is watching their headset and what they are doing. Okay? Me personally, I don't check a horse up to get them to lower their head. Lowering their head for me is kind of a non-issue. When a horse has confidence and they know where to put their feet, they naturally lower their head. I check a horse up to get him to break in the pole. I want a horse to break in the pole. So when I pick up, they break in the pole. Some people tie their horse's head down. I don't like that. I think that's a gross feeling when their head is clear down to the ground, me personally. I like a horse, when they collect, to break in the pole and then to start reaching up underneath themselves for like rollbacks and spins. And some horses that are really on their front end and you pick up, and a horse can overflex horizontally this way, but they can also overflex that way where you pick up and their head bottoms down. So I'll get him to just collect like that. That's plenty. What he's doing is fine. I want their nose perpendicular to the ground. Say if it's, I can let that out a little bit more. If they were getting, part of it depends on their head, the way their head is built. So like there's a roan horse over there and it's like riding a freaking llama. His head comes right out of his withers and he's just like this. those type of horses, sometimes you might just take them and put them underneath your stirrup like that. You can go right underneath your stirrup on both sides, so it kind of helps. I mean, like I said, get them to break in the pole so that I want it kind of level with their withers right here. Does that make sense? I don't want their head up here, but I also don't want it down. So if you check up a horse very much, sometimes they get in the habit, and like I said, I don't like it when their head gets too low. So if I see them where they're really lowering their head and their head is getting way down below their withers, clear down there, what I'll do is I'll run it through right here. I'll go right through that on both sides, and I'll check them so then that way I can get them to collect, but then they're not getting their head clear down really low. You guys see that? Anyway, and then after you check them up a little bit with this, just a few minutes is fine. You know, the very first time you do it, I just watch and I wait for them to give. I'll just do a few minutes. As soon as they get, like his headset is good. And then the other thing you can start doing in your warm-up, guys, is, otherwise sometimes they just start getting a little bit sleepy. And especially, you can go ahead and just kind of push them up into the bit like that. Okay, I always watch their headset and watch what they're doing. You'll push them up and they'll kind of get a little bit confused. So if it's just at a walk when they get confused, I won't go any faster than a walk. The very first time it's just standing and you wait for him to get. Okay? And then the next time, you might kind of watch his headset and just, I want him to just kind of melt into that bit and be soft. If he's confused at all, I wouldn't do anything more than a walk. Okay? If you do it a few times, you know, see him kind of pushing into that bit, kind of every step he's getting a little bit stiffer, you know. You might just do that a few times till he kind of pushes in there and soften.
As we wrap up this section on vertical flexion, I want to review the question, what is your training thought process? Are you forcing the body or influencing the soul through understanding identity? Are we trying to just force the head down, or are we communicating a vocab word? It's not just about forcing the horse's head down, but getting them soft all the way through the body, through the rib cage. The key to having good vertical flexion is good horizontal flexion. Here is a quote by Larry Troca. True collection is a way of riding your horse that teaches him to round his back, lower the croup, and travel with his hocks further under his body. When done correctly, collection also teaches a horse to flex at the poll, relax his lower jaw, and become soft and supple and light. In summary, we check a horse up to teach him the break in the poll, but true collection comes from using a soft feel to teach the horse to round his body, right in between your hands and feet, on straight lines and curved lines, and transition smoothly through all 4 stages, and then keeping this soft feel as you do jobs. Next, we have stage 3 with willing submission, open and closing the gate.
Get a horse to open and close the gate. And especially with colts early on, use both of them. So one of the ways, as far as using the foundation on the horse, okay, task completion, temperament, foundation, let's just go back to the training trifecta. Task completion here is opening and closing the gate. The foundational vocab words, a big one that I would need is stage 3, where I can side pass. I can side pass over there, do stage 1 to move around the gate, and then, you know, stage 4 to come. Basically, you can do all 4 stages, open and closing the gate. Okay, so I haven't done this a lot with this guy, so this should be a pretty good demonstration here. Okay, so how I like to do it, so say I come up here, and I'll try to side pass up here. Let's see how he does. So if he, now that was pretty good. I've done this a time or 2 on him. Dang it. Anyway, so he's pretty good. He's wanting to stand here. Honestly, what I like to do, the most important thing, is back to the driving factors. Are you forcing the body or influencing the soul through understanding identity? Okay, that self-preservation, comfort, companionship, the 2 underlining confidence and energy is going to move his mind and will and emotion, obviously, to push his body somewhere else. So he's naturally seeking comfort, companionship somewhere else. If I have a big scary gate and it's moving and he doesn't have confidence, he's going to want to go somewhere else. So here's what I do, okay? If they want to go somewhere else, it's hard to mechanically get stage 3 to get him to side pass up here. Does that make sense? Because you're fighting two things. Maybe some of you guys don't have that good of a stage 3 to begin with, right? So you're trying to get them to stage 3 to come up here. So say if they leave, here's what I'll do. I'll kick his butt around here. I use my inside leg to kick his butt that way. Then I'll use my outside leg to kick his butt. Okay, I'm using my inside leg. See, now I'm using my left leg to swing his butt back over here. And when he starts to come back over here, I'll just let him sit. If he wants to sit, great. If he wants to go that way, inside leg, inside rein, inside leg, bump, 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 bump. Bump, 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 clear over here. Make it uncomfortable, 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 uncomfortable. Come back over here, uncomfortable, uncomfortable, uncomfortable. As he starts to, go back the other way, uncomfortable. As he starts to swing his butt this way, I get really, 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 really soft. And it's just, and then as soon as they come up here, just let them sit there for a long time. Let them experience the dopamine. Big old sigh there. That makes sense? Let them get the dopamine right here. So make the wrong thing difficult, the right thing easy. I'll do this several times until they just want to sit next to here. Part of that, Ray Hunt, make the wrong thing difficult and the right thing easy. Kind of back to, as we put him on the rail, hot lava. He doesn't want to stand here, let that be hot lava. Okay, so make that uncomfortable. Kick him as he starts to go that way. I use my inside leg to bump, 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 bump. Outside, then I use my other one, drift, 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 let him sit right there. If he wants to go the other way, make it uncomfortable till he sides up here. There, and then just let him. And then from there, what I do, after they have experiencing comfort with this, then you can move it, and most of the time they're like, ooh, they want to stay right with it. So we'll apply the same concept as we go to work cows and everything, right? Trying to make that comfortable as we're roping the dummy. So I'll move it this way, we'll side pass over, might just take 1 or 2 steps. So it gives you a really good opportunity to work on your stage 3. I'll come around the gate, I use my inside leg, okay, and then right here, like I said, I can actually come across for stage 4. I really like opening and closing the gate. If you do it right, you can actually do all 4 stages. He's going forward, I can stop him. I'll move him back over here. Okay, so big concept there. We need to be able to do stage 3, but kind of think about those driving factors and do that little drill. It'll really help you. So I'll bring in my legs here, come back the other way. Most of the time as you do that a time or two, they'll just kind of naturally want to seek that gait a little better. Okay, so make sure to try to tackle that every day.
Next we have accept rope, drag log, track dummy, and track cow if available. In this video I'm going to show how to introduce them to tracking the dummy and roping on them.
So on your roping, okay, back to you have one chance to make a first impression. Sometimes what people do, I've actually had people work for me that have kind of done this and they kind of made some problems with the horses. If I grab my horse here, I just grab a rope and I go to swinging like this, and at first he's like, what the heck? He starts to lose confidence, his head comes up, then he grabs his butt and he starts going faster, and I quit swinging him. I'm training him to be scared of the rope. Does that make sense? So, I want you to think about like helping a kid get in a swimming pool, right? So start a little bit slower, okay? And you should have done your job swinging on the ground, but I want to talk through some things that I would do when you first introduce them. So go ahead and you can sack them out with your rope on the ground, swing, do all of that stuff. But when you first get on, if it makes you feel better, you can kind of pet your horse here. Brian Newbert said one time that he'll do this sometimes. So go like that. He did it just with the coils. Okay, and then you see him put a loop in there that time, so it gets a little bit further. Okay, and then he'll build another loop. I watched him do this in a video one time. And then he'll kind of pet him, and he'll just kind of touch more parts of him there. That's something you could do. I wouldn't say you necessarily had to do that the first time, but when I first go to swing on him here, okay, you'll build you a little loop. Okay, what I like to do, I have my reins here. If I think a horse is going to do something, I'm going to pretend like this horse might do something. I'm going to have this rein a little bit shorter, so I can just go in a circle here. You guys see that? Okay, so I can pet him here, come around this way. I may just bring my hand up and come down and pet him. Okay, I might just bring my hand up. If they start to lose confidence, then come down. Okay, you can bring your swing once and then just come down and pet him. You guys see that? Don't grab your rope and swing, swing, swing until they get scared. Okay, if their head comes up and they get a little bit unsure, just back off. Does that make sense? Swing a couple times, and then if they're like this and they obviously don't care, then that's fine. Okay, so Gavin's gonna pull the dummy here, and I want to show you what I look for, and you can do that if this is the very first time you've done it. You can kind of come this way. Ideally, I don't like to have their head just straight, swing your rope, have them get scared, and then, you know, just kind of quit swinging. I like to come over here. If they got a little bit unsure, I can just maybe come over here, swing once, and you can do that both ways. I can have this rein a little bit shorter. See, I can swing over here. I want you guys to do, and I'm going to show you how you might do it at the very beginning. I'm going to show you both. How you might do it at the beginning of phase 3, and then as we're transitioning through stage 1 into stage 3 and into stage 4, how we can start transitioning into getting them to ride in between our hands and feet. Okay, so I'll say the beginning how to start, and then toward the end. Okay, so as I go to swing here, I have my reins. See, I have my reins over there. If you want to, you can put both of your strings on the other side over here, both of your reins, and that way you don't hook it. The downside with that, if you're not paying attention and you do drop one, sometimes that's a crappy feeling when you're on a green or Colt and you have a rein down there and they're spooked and you have one rein. So if it's the very first time you roped on them, I might just say leave it that way, and then if you drop your reins, at least you can pick them back up. And if you catch your loop, you catch your loop. Does that make sense? So here I am. Okay, so when I go to rope here, okay, watch this. I'm going to reach in between my coils. So I have my rein right here. I'm going to try to keep him in between my hands and feet. So if I want to go that way, I'm going to reach in between my coils and tip his nose this way. If I want to go that way, I'm going to reach in between my coils and tip his nose that way. If he's on my line, I'll swing. It might only be once or twice. If he gets off, I'll come this way, and then I'll come that way. Does that make sense? All right, go ahead and pull it there, Gavin. Okay, in the very first time you do it, honestly, I wouldn't even worry the very first time you do it. I wouldn't even worry about swinging. So you can just have your rope in your hand. Here, stop just 1 second, Gavin. Back to your straight lines and curve lines. So right off the bat, I want to be in the heelers on the left hip to rope this thing. I'm not going to do that right off the bat. I want to get right straight behind him so he can see the dummy out of both eyes. My mind, you have one chance to make a first impression. One of the worst things you could do is right up here, put him on the left hip when he's trying to look out of both eyes, and then you swing and have him get scared and move. First thing I want to do, get him used to swinging, and then get him tracking the dummy. Get him seeking the dummy for comfort. Okay, so if he goes this way, back to your line. I'm going to double him back to my line, put him back on my line, give him his head. He comes over there, double him, put him back on my line, give him his head. All right, go ahead, Gavin. Right straight behind that dummy, I'm going to give him his head. Now, I want him to lock on like a heat-seeking missile to seek that dummy for relief. There we go, we're on a loose rein there. There, if he started to go somewhere else, he could go somewhere else. There, he goes off over this way. Make it a little uncomfortable. Same thing with the gate. Come back over there. There, it's released. Okay, he's going off my line. Make that uncomfortable. Okay, when he gets back on my line, make it comfortable. One of the things in training horses is you have to let them have their own wrong idea. Okay, he gets off, bring him back, make that comfortable there. Bring him back. If he leaves, sometimes I'll even push him off and make it a little bit more uncomfortable. He goes that way, make it a little bit more uncomfortable. As soon as he starts to come back, give him the dopamine. There, there. See, that was 100% his idea because you got some dopamine there. See him slow down and put his head right on the hip. He wants to leave, you might give him an opportunity to leave. Do you want to leave? He says, no, thank you. Right? That was uncomfortable. See, I'm not even trying to rope on him yet. I'm just making it really comfortable when he's on the dummy here. You guys see that? Okay, once you get to that point where they're not scared of the dummy and they've experienced comfort by being on the dummy, then you can go ahead, give him to come this way. If he leads, I'll tip his nose one way, I can tip his nose the other way. Okay? And you don't have to do as much wallering if you've kind of done it. See, I can reach through my coils, my inside rein, my inside leg to put him back. Inside rein, inside leg. When they're tracking, give them their head. Okay? Swing once and then bring your rein down. Okay, if he's tracking, swing once, bring your rein down. Okay, the very first time you introduce your guys' horses to this, don't worry so much about catching. Okay, if he's up there and he's kind of tracking, okay, swing once or twice, throw. It doesn't really even matter so much if you catch. Just try to make it a good experience for him. Okay, does that make sense? Don't lean over there and try to throw it in there and scare him. Just kind of throw it out there and let him look. Just the biggest thing, task completion, yes, eventually is tracking the dummy and catching. Right now, we're working on temperament and the foundation. Right off the bat here on the foundation, we're going to be using horizontal direction in stage 1 to keep him on that line. So if he goes off this way, we're going to use horizontal direction in stage 1 to bring him back to our line. We go off this way, horizontal direction in stage 1 to bring him back to our line. We'll start introducing some of that stuff, honestly, in the phase 2 stuff. Toward the end of phase 3, as we do more side passing, okay, and as we start introducing phase 4 and that has some meaning, what we'll start doing is when you come this way, you'll use your inside rein in your outside leg till the front feet cross over. Go ahead and pull it for a second and I'll show that way. So both ways we're going to use our inside rein. So right off the bat, if he goes that way, inside rein, inside leg to bring him back. Goes this way, inside rein, inside leg. As we transition towards the other one, we're going to use our inside rein, outside leg to get the front feet. Inside rein, outside leg till his front feet come across. Inside rein, outside leg. See how his front feet are coming back across? And that really helps you start to keep a horse to neck rein and move in front of you here. Okay? All right. Good enough? We're good, Gavin. Okay, so in the phase 2 video, there was a video of me loping down the lane there. Well, big thing on these paved roads, especially most of your guys' horses won't have shoes on, but if they do, we just need to be careful. You don't want to be slipping on the road or whatever, but part of that is having a good stage 1. So I don't like getting on a green horse right off the bat and trying to lope down this road or whatever. Eventually we'll get them there, but in your final test, you need to lope down the road there. Okay, that's the final test. Right off the bat, get to where you can get them on a line and they have confidence. So you can kind of walk down over there. Generally what we'll do is we'll kind of go slow coming down over here, letting them get used to the road. And then we come over here into this field.
Next, we'll go through loping in a straight line outside.
Okay, so we'll come over here and I'll kind of show you what I'd be looking for on that. I purposely ride right down the middle so there gets to be a pretty good trail. I'm going to show you what I would do. I like to give a horse his head. I'm not going to be riding him like this. If he gets tight or scared, I want to be able to double him. So all the time when I'm riding a horse, I'm here and I can double him. So I'll jump down there. I'll just kind of walk and kind of trot and lope down there. If he gets going too fast, I'll double him. And then we'll get down to the end over there and I'll show you a little drill I like to do over there. And then the other thing I like to do once you can do that is just picking a line. That's the easiest one because you're going right straight away from the barn. And like I said, there's a little trail. But then I'll just show you some little drills, just like we picked the post and we kind of wallered back and forth until they found. Get to where you can pick a line. I remember when I was really little, that's one thing my dad said, pick a post, pick a line, and get to where you could ride them straight to it. That, believe it or not, is one of the biggest keys to getting a horse to lope on a curved line, is going outside, get to where you can find a straight line away from the barn where there isn't as many magnets, and getting them loping on a straight line. That's such a key, because you go in there and you're fighting direction and you're just fighting line. But you think about that, if you can get them to lope really smooth on a straight line, they're way easier to lope circles. And so a huge part of phase 3, getting them out of the arena, out here, and getting them really comfortable loping straight lines outside, okay? And then whether you do your horizontal direction in the beginning in the warm-up, or whether you go back there and work on your horizontal direction, even just around the dummy like we did in the phase 2, or you can pick a corner like I showed you in there, just every day, make sure you're working on both of those. All right, you ready, Parker?
Yes.
As I start off here, I have my invisible line set. I'll ask to ride him forward. He comes off my line. I'll double him, bringing him back to my line, and then give him his head again. It's really important that we always have a set line, either straight or curved, and they learn to find that line. They learn to ride in between your hands and feet. When they come off your line, they experience a little discomfort. When they come back in that line, you give them comfort. And we do that by making sure we give them their head, give them relief. As I ride him down here, if they do get going a little bit too fast, you guys can just reach down and double them. Early on, I don't like pulling on both reins going outside, because remember, it's the vocab word here, I'll double him. Remember, your vocab words you're looking for is vertical direction in stage 2. That's a revelation that needs to get through to the feet. But sometimes they get a little life, they get a little energy, and then you can just double them and slow them back down again. The more we pull on them to slow them down, the more we actually teach them early on to push and root on the bit. And so, especially the first few times you take them outside, I'll just ride them like this, double them. We'll continue to work on stage 2, vertical direction, and that'll help keep them soft. The first few times you lope them outside, they're away from their buddies, and they might have a temperament factor there where they're not as soft. So after I lope them outside a little bit, I like to slow down and go back and review some of the stuff that you did in phase 1, like horizontal direction in stage 1 standing.
Okay, so when you get loped down here, I'll come out here where it's not in the weeds, it's a little easier to see. Most of the time you'll be over there because you just went down the field there, the pasture. Obviously, if we're coming down here, watch where you're going. There's a road here. Look where you're going. If anyone passes you, especially if they look like a farmer, wave at them, okay? I want TVCC kids to be happy if farmers are running by, so when we ride out in their farm fields, they're not as mad at us, okay? So it does happen sometimes, okay? So always smile and wave. It's kind of like the penguins. Just smile and wave, boys. Smile and wave. Okay, so when you come out over here, a lot of times your horses will be kind of nervous. He's not that nervous because I've ridden him outside. But a lot of times your horses will be pretty nervous. What I like to do is just set your hand right on your knee, okay? And just let them walk around. And I'm not even going to bring my leg in at all. I'm just going to set my hand and I'm just going to wait. A lot of times they'll move around and they maybe even bob, and he's trying to move his feet. He thinks maybe I want stage 1. Yeah, especially there, he may root against it. And I'm just there waiting for him to stop his feet, okay? And for him to put the slack back into it. There. See him soften his eye? Okay, so I really like doing this when I ride them outside. I'll set my hand, and they'll move all the way around. They may move their feet, and I'll just wait for them to stop their feet. And here's really important. Soften their eye. Okay? It's really important, you know, that we're not just reefing and bringing their head around. Back there, are we forcing the body or influencing the soul? Okay, just wait for him to stop their feet. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not just pulling his head around. I'm looking for his mind, his will, and his emotions, for him to just kind of soften there. There, and for him to give me his eye. See, I can see the white in his eye. There. And that wasn't awesome, but he gave just a little bit. And my grandpa used to say, wait, look for the smallest change in the slightest try. So I'll take the slack out, and I want his thought there till pretty quick he can bring his head around there. There, see, he's bringing his head clear around. So that's what we're looking for there. And then once you do that, when you come out here, especially if you're, I want to do horizontal direction in stage 1. Okay, as I'll say, especially if you're by yourself, but even if you're not, even if you're with a group, okay, stage 1 with willing submission, see, he's kind of wanting to go forward, so I'll back him up, okay? I want stage 1 with willing submission, so if he's going forward, I'll back him up a step and get to where I can get stage 1 with willing submission. So I'll pick up on him here. I want it to pretend like someone just threw me a basketball and we're in basketball. We shouldn't travel, okay? So I want stage 1 with willing submission. I'll give him an opportunity, that's not too bad. If he starts going forward, I'll have one range shorter and I'll back him up. There, and I want him to think about, there, see how he's just pivoting around that inside front foot? Okay, I want stage 1 with willing submission. If you remember, willing submission is after initial cue, they do it on a loose rein and no leg pressure. Now, technically, if that was basketball, he was kind of moving his foot a little bit, but to walk around it, they do have to move it a little bit. Okay, see if I can get him to go the other way. He goes forward, back him up. There, he's going forward, I'll back him up a step. Okay, he's going forward, I'll back him up. Okay, I want stage 1 with willing submission. There he took the step. So that wasn't perfect, but you kind of get the idea. I want him to be able to pivot around. There. There, that time he didn't move forward a lot. Pivot around that inside front foot. There, that was a lot better. Okay, so as you come down here, like I said, horizontal direction standing and stage 1 standing is just picking a line. I'm going to pick a post and just get to where you can trot and lope a post. Two-way post. Okay, good.
I'll just show some videos here of me picking a straight line, trying to lope right to them. Got in fast forward so it doesn't take so long to watch these videos. But here I am just picking a post. When you get there, I doubled them. As we start working on this, you can definitely go ahead and start asking with a little bit of both reins and waiting for them to stop and get stage 2. But kind of for the sake of this video, the first time you guys come out here, I just want you to get really good at doubling. If anything happens, that horse started to go a little bit faster than I wanted, just get in the habit of doubling them. That's why we do that in the arena. Anytime they get going a little faster than you have confidence, you can just double them, especially when you come out here. If you need to just hang on to your rope to help you relax where you can pet them, but really work on putting them on a straight line, giving them their head and getting them really smooth, loping outside. Like I said, this is such a key part for getting your horse to lope circles in the arena, is get him really free, loping outside. See, this horse's ears is up. He can see some place to go, and he's wanting to go somewhere. In the arena, sometimes they get a little sticky just because they don't see anywhere to go. But it's amazing. You take a horse outside, gets him really free. You can see there I stopped, did stage 2 with vertical direction, a little bit of stage 4. Then I'll go ahead and lope him back over here. So to summarize, in phase 3, we do a lot of loping outside on straight lines.